How you doing, everybody? Nick DiVirgilio here, and today's video is on this TAMA Star Reserve hand-hammered copper snare drum. Like most drummers, I love snare drums. I love to collect snare drums. I love to have different sounds in my arsenal depending on what kind of music I'm playing, whether I'm going to a studio session or to a live gig. To have those different variety of sounds, in my back pocket is a great thing. This particular TAMA drum is fantastic. It looks fantastic. It sounds great. It's really fun to play, easy on the hands, beautiful to the ears. So let's get into all of the details about this TAMA Star Reserve snare drum right now. TAMA's Star line is their high-end line of drums. They make a lot of beautiful instruments in the Star line, just like this kick drum I have right here, the Star Maple. The snare drum here is their first foray into metal drums, or a metal snare drum in the Star line, I should say. The shell on this TAMA Reserve drum is 1.5 millimeters thick. It starts as a smooth, kind of blank canvas, and their artisans over there in Japan take two different size peen hammers, and you'll notice on the shell the hammer marks in the middle of the drum are a little bit wider, and they get smaller at the edge of the drum. What that does is it gives the edge of the shell a little more sturdiness, a little stronger, and it also adds a lot to the resonance and the sound of the drum. Now, there's a great video that TAMA made showing one of their artisans hammering out one of their copper shells. This takes an awful long time to make. You have to be very precise about it. The guys that do this hammering at their factory in Japan have been doing it for a really long time. They are experts at it. So they know just how hard to hit the shell. They know how many times to hit the shell, where the marks should go. It's just a beautiful piece of instrument making artistry. Let's get into the sound of this drum right now. I'm going to start with the snare wires off, then I'll turn them back on. But before this video is over, I'm going to let you hear how this drum can change with different heads, different sticks, brushes, roots, all kinds of stuff. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Stick with me. For right now, snare wires off. Such a cool, big, and fat tone. The drum comes out of the box outfitted with a Remo coated ambassador. Nice single ply, professional head. It's going to work for you every time. It's completely wide open, no dampening at all, and you can really hear the tone of the shell doing its thing. Playing out to the edge of the drum, to the center of the drum with the snare wires off and on, you get a lot of great musical tone out of this drum right out of the box. This drum comes with 2.3 millimeter customized triple flange tubes. Now I say customized because what they do is, which is a little bit different than your normal typical triple flange tube, they shave off a tiny bit of the edge on the top of the flange here. You can feel it with your finger that it's a little bit flat right here. Typical hoops have a kind of a little bit of a rollover, typically. This one's a little bit shaved off, and what that does, it gives you a great side stick sound, a little more resonance to the drum. It's strong. It just fits this beautiful drum. So I'm going to play the side stick sound with the butt of the stick. Listen how loud and cracking this is. Precise, musical, loud, and really cool. Let's do it in the groove. Getting a good side stick sound out of your snare drum is super important, especially in the studio when you're playing live. A drum like this on a live stage, when you're playing a nice ballad or something where you need that tone, it's going to cut through the mix because the drum is really feeding that sound. And it's great. It's a great thing to have it loud and precise and musical. TAMA created some really beautiful lugs for this Star Reserve snare drum. I call them bridge lugs. There's a little bit of an air gap right in the center of the lug. It looks beautiful. It's chrome, but it sits on top of that copper shell beautifully with the gold hoops, the chrome lugs, and that just luscious copper shell. It's a beautiful drum. Also, I want to mention, this drum will fit on any drum kit. You might be wondering if the gold hoops and the copper shell and the chrome lugs, will that fit on a blue drum kit or a red drum kit or whatever? And yes, it'll fit on any one of those things, and it'll look good if you're on a live stage for sure. Another really cool feature on the tension rods, you get double washers on all the tension rods. You get a plastic and a metal washer. Nice high-end feature. They really thought all of these things through. And one of the coolest things about this drum is their strainer and throw-off system. Let's get into the details of that right now. The throw-off and strainer are TAMA's MLS50 linear drive system, a beautiful throw-off and strainer system. Get this I call these ratchet-style throw-offs where you pull forward and back. Really easy to get the snare wires on and off. You saw that demonstration earlier in the video where I had the snare wires off and played and then turned them back on. It's super simple to do that. It's really smooth as silk. Adjust the snare wire tension right here. What's cool about this as well is when you're adjusting the snare wire tension with the knob here, it actually is notched inside. You go a little bit at a time and it stops in each notch while you're loosening and or tightening the tension instead of just kind of turning. It stops in increments, which is really cool. There is a 30-degree angle on the throw-off side here, also on the butt plate side, where you're attaching the snare wire string. The angle goes towards the edge of the drum shell. What that does is makes it so the snare wires are on the bottom of the head perfectly. It kind of takes away some of that extra buzz you really don't want from your snare wires. You want them to kind of be quiet when you're not playing the drum and buzz when they're supposed to. This angle really helps just make this drum even more musical. And you can adjust the snare wire tension on the butt plate side as well. It has the same notched knob on the butt plate side. Now, if you want to change the snare wires on this drum, it is super simple. All you do is you take your drum key and you loosen up at the bottom of the throw-off. This piece comes off and the snare wires come off right there. Here's your string. Same on the butt plate side. You loosen up the tension rods right here. Snare wires come right off. You can also take the butt plate off very simply with the two lug screws right there on the side. TAMA has made it very easy to do the maintenance on this drum when you need to do it. The snare comes with TAMA's 20-strand snare wires. You also get a Remo Ambassador snare side head for the bottom of the drum. Great features there. All right, as you can tell, I've taken the head off the top of the drum so you can see the inside of this gorgeous drum shell. Right there is the beautiful TAMA Star badge. Let me tilt it over for you. Just gorgeous. You can really tell the craftsmanship that went into making this drum. It's really, really beautiful. All right, everybody, we've talked about the drum, let you know how it's made. You've heard it with sticks, snare wires on and off. I'm going to play it now with a few different things. Got some brushes, got some roots. Also, before this video is over, I'm going to put some different drum heads on this drum so you can hear what it sounds like. Before we get to that point, though, this drum sounds beautiful with brushes. Also, it sounds beautiful with brushes when you put reverb on the track. So I'm going to play this with completely dry. Then you're also going to hear the drum with brushes with a little bit of reverb. And it's just a gorgeous sound. Here we go. Okay, one more thing before we get to changing the heads on this drum. Again, this drum is wide open, no dampening at all, but you could dampen out the decay of the drum a little bit with some dampening, like Moon Gel, or I'm a big fan of these True Tones dampeners that we sell here at Sweetwater. Talk to your Sweetwater sales engineer if you want to get these. They're very cool, very easy to use. One of the small discs goes a long way, and I usually like to just put one on, you know, near a lug, but really right next to the hoop. The farther you bring it into the center of the drum, the more it's going to dampen and deaden the head. So here it is with just a little bit right next to the lug. What's cool about this sound is you still get a little bit of decay on the shell, but it's deadened quite a bit. You can also do something where if you want even more decay, but not all of it, have it touching a little bit of the hoop and a little bit of the head, and it should give you about 50-50. Here we go. Completely off. Full decay there. Now if I bring it in off of the rim, maybe about an inch, check out the sound here. So this little piece of dampening can give your drum 3 different sounds just within 1 inch of the rim of the drum. Pretty cool. All right, here we go. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this drum comes outfitted with a Remo coated ambassador head right out of the box. A beautiful head that will work for you all of the time in many different musical situations. But as drummers, different drum heads will make a drum react in different ways and give you different tones. There's lots of beautiful drum heads out there. So what I wanted to show you is how cool this drum is with different drum heads. Right now I'm going to have a Remo coated ambassador. I'm going to have some 2-ply heads. I got drum heads from Evans and Aquarian and some other Remos, and you're going to be able to hear how this drum changes its tone just by the drum head changing, okay? There's no music in the background. There's going to be just the drums by itself. Here we go. Enjoy. All right, well, I hope you like that demonstration with the different drum heads. You know, different drum heads will really change up the tone of your drum. So find the head that fits your sound, what you want to hear out of a drum. There's some great selection out there. Sweetwater, we have a ton of great heads. A 2-ply head works really well on this copper drum. So just saying, you might want to check that out. I also want to encourage you to check out the text below the video where you have links to all the heads that I used and all of the other gear here that I'm using in this video. These great Sabian cymbals, this beautiful artisan ride here, HH hats, the microphones, even the microphone stands. Did you know that TAMA makes their own microphone stands? That's what we're using here today. They're fantastic mic stands. You might want to check those out as well. This beautiful Star Maple kick drum and everything in between. even all the way down to the recording gear I'm using. There you have it, everybody. TAMA's Star Reserve hand-hammered copper snare drum. A beautiful snare drum that will last you a lifetime and then some. You can hand this drum down to your kids and grandkids if you keep it in shape and take care of it. It's a beautiful musical making instrument. Great in the studio, great live. Don't be afraid to take this out of your house and go use it on a live gig because it'll sound great on a live stage. All in all, fantastic musical instrument from TAMA. If you want any more information about this TAMA snare drum or any other TAMA product, just contact your Sweetwater sales engineer. Thanks a lot for watching.